What's happening? It's Blair Johnson with the Badass Records podcast, here to remind you what this thing is about, and that is you and some of your favorite records. Also here to remind you there's plenty of ways to support the podcast should you choose to do so. One, like, subscribe, follow on YouTube, wherever you stream your audio, or on the Twitters and Instagrams. If you want to buy some merch, it's another good way to support. The site is badassrecordspodcast.com. Get yourself a hoodie, stocking cap, a coffee mug, what have you. Last but not least, be a guest. Hit me up on email, badassrecordspodcast@gmail.com, or DM me on the socials, Instagram or Twitter, and we'll see if we can't get you in the chair. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. So, this is so awesome. Episode 115.
Yeah.
Badass Records podcast.
Yeah.
Tisha Cash in the house. How's it going?
Good.
It's good to see you. I don't know. It's been a minute. Couple years.
A minute.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would say I feel like I've been out of the scene for a couple years.
Okay. So this will be installment 3 of Becoming a Swifty.
Nice.
Sophia Reed, shouts out to her for the first, and then Christy Smirchek.
I did.
Who showed up with a friendship bracelet that says Badass Records.
Oh.
And I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Long story short, I wound up coaching a 7th grade girls basketball team that I don't have a kid on this year. That season just ended Sunday, 2 days ago. And a couple months, I guess, after Christy was here, I was like, would you make me bracelets for all of my girls on my team? And she was like, yeah.
Yes.
So she did.
Yes.
We had our final game Sunday, and then we went out for pizza, and like all the school colors, each girl's name and jersey number, and then a couple of basketball charms.
It's so you.
I think I was more excited about it than they were.
Well, I don't get them out. They're in a special place on my dresser, but really only for a couple of reasons. And I wore it for you today. And if you don't care, I'm going to shout out to her. But
I would love to know about all of them.
Well, a couple of them were from the concert.
Saw you at Arrowhead?
Yeah.
You were there?
I was there.
I don't think we covered that.
Oh no, I was there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Please continue.
I feel like it's very funny because after listening to the other two girls, which yes, I did hone straight in on them because obviously I wanted to listen to them and I wanted to listen to their take on it because I know that could possibly be a little older than them, and I swear since we talked, the one thing that has been going through my mind is I feel like I just want to like grab the microphone and be like, hello, my name is Tisha Cash. I am 40-something years old, and I am a Swifty.
Hey.
I just feel like it's like part of me that wants to say that because we do exist. 40-something-year-old Swifties. We do exist.
This is my final trip around the sun in my 40s.
Oh God!
Yeah,
I'm not there yet,
but I'm
definitely feeling it.
Also a Swiftie.
Yeah,
so and no shame.
No shame in my game, but I think it's funny because I think that generally they're late 20s. They're definitely 30-year-olds, and then you get to me. But so yes, I did go to the concert, ill prepared.
Okay.
I actually don't have girls. I have sons. So a lot of people are like, oh, you took your daughter. And I'm like, no, me and my best friend went. And that's Mallory. Yes, Mallory. Yes. Shout out to my Mallory.
Who won't come unless you come with. Is that still, you think?
I think that she will come. I think she wanted me to do it first.
That's
and
fair.
Yeah,
Totally
and
fair.
that's totally fine.
She'll see you emerge alive.
Yes.
And be like, that's a good sign.
She'll see that I came out of it. Okay. I probably will still need to come with her, which absolutely, like,
Yeah.
I can definitely hang there. And she's just, she's an amazing person. But
Cool.
So she actually bought Taylor Swift tickets for my birthday.
And you two know each other how?
We are both transients, I would say, to Lawson. So
That's where you currently call home? Okay.
Yep, we call home Lawson, and we both moved from other places to Lawson and are now living there and raising our children in Lawson, Missouri.
Did she also from elsewhere in the area?
Yep, she's from Leavenworth.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So anyways, but she helps me with work. She's a
Really?
Yeah, she's a stay-at-home mom.
You're making enough money to have staff?
Yeah, I am.
Some air quotes somewhere in
Staff,
there.
air quote, staff. Yeah. She's my only air quote employee. And I pay for some sweet vacations. You know, she stashes her pay for some sweet vacations. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So did you know she was going to try to get tickets?
I did.
Okay.
I also did not know the link that she was going to go to get them. So it was a day, to say the least. So, her poor husband had to go to work without his phone because she kept his phone.
So she could have
So
multiple
I was
devices?
like, don't die, Stevie Paul. Don't get a flat tire.
Right, yeah.
Don't do anything. Just have a normal day because you are walking to the phone.
Your thumbs work, right?
I mean, he was hijacking. So she started in the morning, both phones. She got into the queue on both phones and literally stood there the whole day, read a book. She's an avid reader. And she read a book while watching both phones, and I feel like the slow man just walking to China. And I couldn't have done it. I honestly couldn't have done it. But she has the patience of Job.
Okay.
And so she's reading her book, watching both phones, and then
touching one to keep. I guess there's a setting you can to keep it illuminated or whatever.
Just watched them.
Okay.
Just watched them. 8 hours. I think, and 16 minutes in, one of them went off and was like, you're in, buy the tickets. Now, what I don't like to tell everybody is how much we did not pay for those tickets.
Because you got them direct from the source and not after market.
Right.
But somebody's got to get those tickets.
Somebody's got to get those tickets, and Mal got them. I mean, she got them. And so immediately she's in this phone. She's buying us tickets. They were not expensive. We were going to the nosebleed, but we didn't care.
Yeah.
We were going to be there. And the other phone went off and was like, buy tickets. And I'll be honest with you, she panicked. And knowing what we knew now, I was like, you should have bought but they were only letting you buy so many. But bless her heart, she can double finger and try to get both. So anyways.
Did she buy both, or did she leave the queue on that second one?
She left the queue on that second one, which in all honesty, I think is an amazing thing because she let somebody else have Taylor Swift tickets. Right. And we were happy that we got him. We loved our seats. We loved the price and all of this stuff. It was such a celebratory phone call when she called me because she had worked so hard and I had no idea that she had done that. And she was like, I'm taking you to Taylor Swift. And I was like, oh, I mean, both of our minds had blown. So when we're at work, we talk about Taylor, or we talk about, she's very much deep, she does the eggs and, all of the hidden messages and stuff like that. And I actually love listening to her.
Sure.
Talk about all of that stuff because I just don't know if I'm able to compute all of that stuff.
Sophia sends me shit. I'm like, what is this? And she's like, we're getting Reputation Taylor's version. I'm like, this is based on what? She's like, whenever she has black fingernail polish. I'm like, what?
Right.
I'm making that
up. Totally Mallory. And I mean, I text her and was like, I laid down in bed. I didn't watch the Grammys. Right. I laid down in bed. get on my phone and see that at the Grammys she announces the album, and I immediately text Mallory and was like, don't you think it would be important to text your best friend and let her know that Taylor at the Grammys announced that, you know, she was throwing an album? And she was like, I don't know, I thought I might be sleeping. And I was like, wake me up,
Right.
dude. Wake me up. But anyways, so that's, yes, we went.
So
No
you guys,
children.
Are you guys roughly the same age?
Ish.
Yep. And have you been fans, Swifties, as long as one another?
I would say probably,
ish?
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And was it both of your first time seeing her?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I really do. I mean, it was my first time seeing
And?
her. Oh, it was amazing.
Was it?
You know, I think that...
I'm looking for the person that's like, but everybody is like, dude.
Well, I think if you poked and prodded on me a little bit, you might be able to get a little bit of that out of me.
I'm not actually that interested.
Right.
But most folks report.
The truth of the matter is, for me personally, it was amazing to listen to someone. I'm alone at work all day. It's just me when Mallory's not there helping me. So I'm literally listening. You know, I listen to you. And then sometimes I take a little break and listen to some music. Or, you know, I can't watch anything while I'm working. So I'm listening. Yeah. And so to listen to something for so long consecutively, you know, I would say really hard for the last 2 years while I've been doing what I do now. To being in a stadium, whether they were 2 or 52, it didn't matter. We were all there together, and we were all, like, I think I was mostly moved that we were all singing the same words at the same moment. Everyone was so happy.
That's awesome.
I mean, there were 16-year-old girls in front of me, and their minds were just blown. Fortunately, unfortunately, I'm a little bit older, so my mind has been blown at a concert
right,
before.
Yeah.
But to watch the innocence and purity of that was really joyful for me. And I think a couple of things that are completely side notes from like Taylor itself, but concert wise, listen, I am in my 40s and I am a mother, and I know that things hit a little differently. So, I got bracelets because, my really great friend Jenny's daughter is a big fan, and Nora and I are very close.
Okay.
And Nora, I told Nora I'd bring her some bracelets. And so my goal was to get bracelets so I could give them to Nora. No intentions of keeping any myself.
Okay.
And so these girls, you know, even that, like, you know, they're swapping bracelets. And the whole entire time I was taking so much joy knowing that when I went home, I was just going to lay them all out and be like, you take whatever you want. You can take them all, Laura. I don't care, you know? And her mind was just blown. But when I got home and I said, I'm so excited because, you know, like, this is what I collected from you, she made me my own bracelet.
So what's that one say?
It says, Bestie Tish.
Nice.
It was, and I will say that anyone could have any of these.
And are the rest of them from the show?
They are.
Ones that she didn't take?
Yep.
And what do they say?
Take.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, you got to watch what you're passing to young girls, teenagers, because I had to get the clean ones out. Yeah, there was a few. Like, for instance, this one says, like, made that bitch famous. So I was kind of a little selective about, you know, like, I did keep the inappropriate ones. So anyways, look what I got out of it.
Yeah.
And I will cherish that bracelet probably more than I will the other ones.
For sure.
How amazing is that girl?
It's really amazing.
And I also sent her to school the next day with Taylor Swift bracelets from the concert.
Nice.
So that made me happy. Also, my second favorite part was a young girl, a teenage girl, who didn't get tickets, who tried. and wasn't going, and I just couldn't stand it. And all she wanted was a piece of merchandise from the concert. As you know, you can buy anything online.
Yeah. Also, they were set up there the entire Thursday before the show, selling
The line
merch.
the night of the concert, insanity. Like, I don't care about clothes that much.
Yeah.
It was insane. But guess what? Mallory she was like, I'm going to literally pee my pants before I move. And I was like, I'm literally going to go get this 14-year-old girl a sweatshirt just so she could say that she got it. And it was the most joyful part of the whole entire concert. She came to my house a couple of days later. Her mother and I had talked.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was like, what does she want? I was outside of the stadium trying to FaceTime her mother going, you tell me. I want to get something that she likes. But obviously self-service in that place was insane. So I had to pick.
Of course. Yeah.
And she loved it. And it was such an amazing moment. And I took a picture of her and I in that Taylor Swift sweatshirt. But that's just like the mom in me.
Yeah.
Like, how would I love for someone to have bought me, I don't know.
Something
I mean, from
there's
back
not
in the
really
day.
a comparison.
There isn't.
Nobody was really that big when we were kids.
Right.
And I mean, to be honest, merch wasn't that. I mean, there was
Yeah.
concert T-shirts and
But
maybe
it was a big
trucker
deal.
hats.
She could have cared less. When she walked in and saw, I was like, here, I got this for you from the concert. And her mind just exploded. And I was like, happy. I was so happy. So those were two of my favorite parts of being at the concert.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
So Maysville, Missouri. Where is that?
So it's very small. In between St. Joe and Cameron.
Okay. And how far from home now is Maysville?
30 minutes.
Are there still family?
I have one uncle still left.
Okay. So
An aunt and an uncle still left in Maysville.
okay.
And then that's about it. My mom's best friend is still there. So she's there. Aunt and uncle there. I still have a few, but don't run home very often.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I do.
Okay.
I have an older sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you happen to know how your folks met?
How my parents met?
Uh-huh.
They met in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's high school for them?
Maysville.
Okay.
Yeah. So my mother, not my dad, but my mother was born, raised, married, had her children, raised her children, all in DeKalb County, Maysville, Missouri.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Insane.
Okay.
My father is from Kansas City, North Kansas City.
Okay.
St. Pius,
Sure.
Catholic boy.
I was there on Saturday.
Were you?
My daughter's basketball team was playing in the championship game.
Yep.
And it is a nice facility.
Yeah.
Their scoreboard
Yeah.
lists, I mean, you can put which 5 girls are on the floor and it shows their fouls and how many points they have.
No joke.
No joke.
Yeah.
I was like, look at this fucking place, bro.
Yeah. They're really stepping up their game.
Yeah.
Not Dad. He was back when we were still slapping knuckles and stuff.
So mom and dad are still around?
Yep.
Okay.
Mom's with me. She's got a beautiful she shack in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude,
It's awesome.
speaking of,
Yeah.
so we talked before we were rolling about cashing out the 80s,
Yeah.
but fire.
Fire.
I saw, and I was like, everybody is okay,
Totally safe.
but you slept through. What is the structure? It was an old.
125-year-old. We called it a milk barn. So it had stalls in it, not stables. We had a horse barn. We had both a horse barn on the property, and then we called it the milk barn, but I would say a cattle where they did their horses or where they did their cows. We actually tore the horse barn down because those two boys were absolutely going to kill themselves in that structure.
Falling through holes and stepping on nails
and all that stuff. We actually got death threats when we tore it down.
What?
Yep. We actually had two people come onto our property and tell us, like Nick and I were just standing out there. It's a very small town, but they came onto our property and literally proceeded to get out and tell us how horrible we were and what were we thinking, and us little city folk coming in
I
and
don't get it.
tearing down.
What's the issue?
So we were tearing down it was a century old. So it was 100-year-old horse barn. What they didn't know was that a guy had contacted us and asked us, he was going to retire and do a mom and pumpkin farm in Trimble, which is north of Smithville. And he asked us if he took it down board by board, nail by nail, could he have it? And then he was going to reconstruct it on the mom and pumpkin farm for weddings.
What is a mom and pumpkin farm?
So when you go to the pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what he was doing.
Okay.
He was doing like moms and pumpkins.
Who are these people, and are they allowed to just come on your property?
Well, if you knew my husband, it didn't last long.
Oh boy.
Yeah. He's a great man, but don't. Honestly.
So
and
like what is
when you don't have any idea what's happening.
Yeah, what kind of acreage are we talking about?
We have almost 15 acres.
Okay.
Yep.
And like is this structure visible to them from
Yes.
the road or their
Yes.
home or okay, and like how does it actually affect their lives if you take down a barn on your property?
Nothing. They were just they were
So they're supporting their own opinionatedness.
They were extremely offended that we would just come in and tear down something that had been there that long. Like it was on the original homestead. And so they were wildly offended. So then once we told them, hey, thank you for your interest, but this is going to kill someone. And the people that lived here hadn't walked in it probably for 30 years. And so it needed to come down, and this is what we were using it for. So, and the guy that rebuilt it went to the county and got pictures of like the original structure, and it was so cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So then
how about mind your own business?
Yeah, it was a strongly mind your own business from my husband.
I bet.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
And he is an amazing man, but don't do that.
So do you think that you'll get pictures of the completed project in its new location? We
could go now. It's up.
It's done?
It's done.
Okay.
That horse barn's been down.
So you
for
took
a
that
while.
down, and then the milk barn caught on fire.
So then we had the milk barn, but we used the milk barn for the tractor was in the milk barn. The lawnmowers were in the milk barn. The tiller was in the milk barn, and all of that stuff. We loved the milk barn, by the way. It was a beautiful structure. It was brick, and everyone, including friends that would come see me from high school and stuff like that, they were like, "Oh my gosh, that thing is amazing." And I'm like, "I know, I love it."
So what happened?
I was raising chicks.
And?
I just put them out on Saturday. They were in the basement on a heat lamp, and I had just put them out on Saturday. And so two things. It was either the heat lamp, which I'm not sold on, or the barn didn't have electricity, so we ran electricity from the other barn to it. So either faulty wire or possibly the lamp.
Chicks
I
didn't
guess
make it.
If it would have fell down, caught fire, because it did start where they were at, unfortunately. My children are very aware of death. You have to be when you live out there. We've lost some chickens, definitely. We've lost a dog, unfortunately. So they're very well. We skipped the burning alive. I was like, let's not.
You guys like your eggs over medium?
Let's not slingshot them into, like adulthood really quick.
Golly.
So their father was the hero. He ran in, kicked the baby trough over. They ran out. The big chicks ran out, and everybody was safe and sound, but we haven't seen them since.
Gotcha.
Right.
So that's what, and then you slept through it. So somebody knocked on your, or what was the story?
So it was 1:30 in the morning, and a Good Samaritan. They still exist. I cannot believe it. I'm still very blown away that somebody was just driving down the highway and went and said, yeah, that isn't good. And it was really small at the time, and knocked on the door. I have more PTSD from the person knocking on the door than I do the fire in itself. It was cold, so they were in a hoodie. That's all I saw was a hoodie. I saw them running away from my house. I saw them shining lights in my house.
What?
It was a very bizarre experience. But then after that, learning that it was freezing outside, they were trying to warn me with the lights. They called 911. They did all of these amazing things. I cannot find them, and I'm very, very hopeful
They
that
just wanted
they
to
will
be
surface.
like, your shit's on fire over there.
Here's your fire.
Yeah.
Like, and later my husband tried to do a little reconnaissance with me, and he was like, okay, so most people that are trying to kill you don't knock on the door.
Yeah.
They also don't run away from you, and they also don't shine lights into your house. So I'm thinking he wasn't trying to kill us. But I wish you could have seen Nick Cash when he did notice the fire. It was chaos. We literally ricocheted off of each other trying to get to the phones. And this was what he said to me. Stop. We can not both call 911 at the same time. And I was like, great idea. You do that. I'm going to call my mom. It was terrible.
And she's also on the property.
She's 10 feet from the fire at this point.
What?
Wide awake in the living room, had absolutely
She
no
was
clue.
up
Yes,
and
she's
didn't
a night
know?
owl. No.
Okay.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but 125-year-old wood burns real quick.
I bet.
It went fast.
So when all of the when everything is settled from this, what will you do?
It's done. They scooped it. So we were going to build onto the brick because the brick was so amazing, and it compromised in about 5 places, which means it cracked. It got so hot. A tractor burnt up. It got hot.
So nothing's there now?
So they scooped it down this weekend, and I am devastated because, like, when you've been standing at your counter for the last 6 years looking at a brick barn and now it's gone, I'm like, put something up because I can't.
Are you gonna?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We'll need something
Cool.
to.
You can find out who those dudes were that were bitching and make sure they approve the project.
Well, the first thing I said was, we're going to get some hate mail over this.
Oh, my
Like,
God.
if they think that we intentionally
Yeah.
burnt it down.
You know, those city kids, they burned that shit down.
No,
on
yeah,
purpose.
these city folk, like, but maybe we've redeemed ourselves because we've been there a while, and you can clearly tell that it was an unintentional fire, but
That's crazy.
she burnt to the ground. Did you see the video?
I did. I mean, yeah.
The video was when the tractor was, Nick was like, there goes my tractor, and it got hot and fast. But you know what? It's just stuff, and my children are safe, my neighbors are safe, my mother's safe, everyone's safe. So, but Mallory was the first person that was like, I understand that you have amazing priorities, but you can still take a day to be like, damn.
Right.
It's hung on with me a little longer than I thought. But
My little bulk of where I lived in college, I moved around a few times, but there was this optometrist family.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, golden retriever, white picket fence,
Yes.
3 kids. The only optometrist, so they have a corner lot.
Yeah.
And they bought the lot next to them so they could control who was living next door to them. And so
Yes.
this dude from Philly and I rented it for like 3 years. And it just tiny. I had a box spring and a mattress just on the floor in my room. And it was like,
best of times, though.
it was so small.
Yeah.
When there was a little storage room probably for a mower or something off the back of the kitchen. And when we moved in there was this antique oscillating fan with no cage.
Oh.
And we used it. There was no central air on this house. So we would sleep with our front door open.
Oh, yeah.
And the storm door just latched shut. And that fan sat on the floor.
Great days.
And ran all day and all night for years.
Yeah.
Until one night the motor overheated and it caught on fire.
Yeah.
And then all of the plastic, holding the fan melted, and so it fell onto the stand, and then that caught on fire, caught the carpet on fire, caught the wall on fire.
Yeah.
And I'm in my And my dog, I'm asleep, and my dog is sticking his snout
Yeah.
under my arm, trying to which is what he
Yeah.
does when he wants me to
Yeah.
pet him. And I'm like, he's never messing with me in the middle of the night. He likes to sleep as much as I do.
Yes.
And I'm like, bro. And then again, and I'm like, knock it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he's got a little bit of an attitude. And I open my eyes, and my door is cracked about, it was almost all I could see is flickering orange. I sat up like, what the fuck?
Right. Yeah.
And went out there,
Yes.
and by this
Yes.
time the commotion has stirred my roommate. Terrified.
Terrified.
Absolutely. It was fucking terrifying.
Yep.
I mean, we like filled up, it's plugged, it's still running, and
Yeah.
we're
God.
sloshing water.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Anyway, fires are scary.
Well, I will be honest with you. Between Nick and I do not want to see the neighbor's Ring camera.
Right.
Because we were both, in our pajamas.
Yeah.
And we were just like, it was
Yeah.
just, it's so funny kind of now. Because he was like, do I move the camper? Not the camper. I don't know what are we doing? And I was like, move the camper, like we were just trying to make quick decisions and stuff like that. And I'm worried about my mother. And by the way, I cannot wait to be in my 70s where we've seen tornadoes and we've seen houses burned down, because she was like, I'm fine. I'm going to watch from here. And I'm like, maybe you should get your stuff and come to the house. And she's like, honey, it'll be all right. And I just can't wait to have like that. I don't want to have all those life experiences, but
Right.
then I kind of can't wait for the peace of
Yeah.
what brings
Yeah.
for that. But at one point, being in the country, I quit looking at the burning building and turned and started staring at the highway, because I was literally waiting to see the lights and sirens.
Yeah.
And I will be honest with you, probably you felt the same way. This is eternity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is taking so long, and you are so helpless. You are helpless. Like, there was nothing no garden hose was touching that baby.
Right.
So, Fire Plan is in action with the boys. I would suggest it to you too.
Sure.
Because, I mean, honestly, if that was my house,
Gosh.
So, it's been a week.
Yeah, no kidding.
Couple weeks.
Couple
but
weeks.
Yeah. It's all right,
So, when you are young and living at home in
Yep.
Maysville,
though. Yeah.
is there music being played in the home?
What's what?
Is there music being played in the home, or mom and dad putting on stuff for everybody to listen to? Or
No.
No,
Mm-mm.
none.
No.
Okay.
My mom's an excellent dancer.
Okay.
And spent youth dancing. They would go to Wathena, Kansas.
Oh, wow.
I think you could drink in Kansas.
Nice.
Thank God rest my grandparents. But I think that you could drink in Kansas.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, like, they would go and cut a rug.
Really?
And she is so, so sad that I've never experienced that. You've never experienced that. Like, they would go to dance. Her and her brother would go to Wathena to dance. Like, they had a dance hall, and they would just cut a rug.
Huh.
And still to this day, like, if I get her going, it's amazing. But no, not,
Really?
nope. My first memory of music is my mother and I sitting outside of my then teenage sister bedroom as she blared Metallica. And I'm a huge Metallica fan. And I'll be honest with you, the one thing I got from my sister was music.
Okay.
And I love that I got to experience that generation of music without actually living in that generation. I'm 4 years younger than her.
Okay.
3.5. So, I probably wouldn't have been listening to Guns N' Roses, Metallica, all of those great things,
Yeah.
Motley Crue, all of that, if it wouldn't have been for her. But my first recollection of music was her blaring Metallica out of the bedroom, just being in the teen years, and her and I looking at each other and going, are we going to make this? Are we going to survive?
You and your mom?
Yes. We were looking at each other, almost holding each other like, are we going to make this? we going to survive this?
Okay.
Yeah, she really was, giving us all a run for our money. But yeah, so that is probably my first recollection of music.
And so what about, so that's something that she's listening to or making you guys listen to. What about something that you first enjoyed listening to, or something that you first bought with your own money, or remember hearing on the radio, or heard at friends?
I think you're going to laugh at this. I asked my mother for my first CD for Christmas, and it was Dr. Dre.
The Chronic?
The Chronic.
Really?
With the marijuana leaf on it.
No kidding.
And I love the fact that still to this day, no, that's not true. She's not that naive. At the time, absolutely no clue what that green leaf was.
But she got it for you.
Clueless, and she got it for me.
Wow.
Not knowing absolutely no clue anything about it.
How much of it had you heard before you owned it?
A little bit.
There's some pretty raunchy stuff on there.
Loved it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and this is what age?
I don't know. I wish I knew when it came out.
92, 94, somewhere in there.
So I graduated in 95, so.
Okay.
I mean, I would say I was.
Old enough.
Old enough.
Yeah.
Probably. What do you think? 15?
Yeah.
16, 17?
Yep,
yeah.
right in there.
Yeah.
So it hadn't
been out for 5 years,
right.
And then I went, I'd like to have this.
There was a means for you to play a CD in the car or at home or whatever it was.
Definitely at home, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that was your first CD, The Chronic?
I remember like I would be someone that would collect all of her Christmas presents, and put them in a box or whatever,
A neat pile.
And there it was right there, and I couldn't wait to slash the plastic on that baby.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
That should be like a line on your resume or something. I started my music collection with Dr. Dre's The Chronic.
It's so funny. And
don't you want to hire me?
Kind of what a weirdo, because prior to that, me and Tila were hitting New Kids on the Block concerts,
For sure. You were seeing music live before you owned anything?
Yeah. My mom made my sister take Tila and I to our first New Kids on the Block concert, which was probably in St. Joe.
Tila is a friend?
Tila was a friend in high school.
T-E-L-A?
T-E-A-L-A.
A-L-A. Okay,
Tila,
interesting.
Yeah. And my sister said her only requirement was that she didn't have to sit with us. So she sat in the nosebleed, and we were screaming, busting earrings off of each other, just losing our minds.
Wow.
Yeah. And then my mom took us to the second one. And that was back in the old day where you called Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
And they were like, wah, wah, hang up, call again. Wah, wah, hang up, call again. And then you were screaming at your mother when you got in so she could pay for the tickets.
Right.
I'll never forget those days.
Man. So did you ever add a second CD to your collection? It's not just The Chronic, right?
Oh, no. That's a problem with me. Only remember bits and pieces,
Sure. Yeah.
I'm confident I'm going to have dementia someday.
That's okay.
But
You're doing fine now, and
I'll
you
get
got
back to you on that one, because I do know all the words to a one particular song, and we're just gonna have to save that for a less clean version.
There you
I'll
go.
sing it for you before we leave, and you'll be like, "Holy crap, Tisha! You need to get out of my house."
Ever any interest in picking up an instrument or taking a piano lesson or anything like that?
The most zero coordinated person. I know we talked about crafting already, which was cute that me and you were talking about crafting.
Yes.
All things, but zero coordination. That includes everything. So I couldn't play an instrument. I cannot bounce anything. I cannot run. In fact, I ran just a few weeks ago with my sons, and many friends have been like, do not do that in public ever again. And I'm like, was it worse coming at you or going away from you? And they're like, both. Were equally rough.
That's hilarious.
So
You have good friends, I think.
I have great friends, including my husband. He's like, baby draft meets. I can't even explain it, Tisha. So no, music out for me.
Okay. So when do you think, I'm not even positive that I can pinpoint this for myself, but when do you think Taylor Swift first crosses your radar?
So the thing I will probably have to say to even like associate myself with Taylor is this. I was single for many years. I actually didn't marry until I was 34 years old.
Okay.
Which I had married off. I graduated with 42. Wow. Let's say 20 of them were women, and I had 18 of them married off before I went to freshman year of college.
Okay.
And so,
where was that? Where was college?
I went to Warrensburg.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Definitely drank my first whole entire semester.
Good job.
I know. I was so proud of myself. Dad was not. He was least impressed with my abilities of consumption.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I went. It didn't last long, but hey, I loved it.
Yeah.
So, sorry, where were...
So, but 20 of your gals married before...
And I just, not that I minded that, I didn't, but I just, I guess, I don't know. I was a late bloomer. Sure. So everyone was like, I'm sorry, how many times have you been married when you met your now husband? And I'm like, 0.
6. Oh, what a weird question to ask.
0.
Which marriage is this for you?
Which marriage is this for you? I'm like, 0.
I'm trying to tear down this barn. Quit interrupting me with personal shit.
So, and I don't really actually see it as a bad thing. So unfortunately, most of my friends that married at 20 were divorced by the time
25.
by the time I was getting married.
Sure.
But, there was a life in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I definitely lived a life. Now, you think it isn't the 60s, or I would have been a spinster. Spinstress? What is it?
I think you can choose.
Yeah, spinstress. It wasn't that. Wasn't that.
Sure.
But there was definitely a life in there. And when I say a life in there, I mean meeting, breakups, sad times, great times, different times. I lived. I traveled. I worked. I had friends in different places and stuff like that. So I think when that happens to you, and not that married people can't relate, but I think when you have different relationships and maybe have different breakups, good breakups, bad breakups, right breakups, wrong breakups, red flags, and all that stuff, it really bonded me to music. Like, I felt like I could really find things to relate to.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a huge Garbage fan.
Okay. The band?
Yes.
Okay.
Not necessarily something you can relate to as far as a breakup. So then I feel like there's like still like, it's just because you love Taylor Swift doesn't mean that you don't love Hole.
Of course not.
One of my favorite albums.
I think Garbage had one year I used to always get with my same buddy Worth the Fire was NHL for PlayStation.
Yeah.
And one year they had the intro song as the game would be loading.
Yes.
I forget the tune, but it was for sure a Garbage track. And it fucking slapped.
But awesome, right? Like Celebrity Skin Hole is one of my favorite albums.
Nice. Yeah.
It really is. But, then you're like, and I think a lot of people are like, I'm sorry, how can you love them and Taylor? You can. You totally can. Because, this is just part of, this is part of your, like, I need something to get me pumped up, or, just having a day or something like that. But I think Taylor is, it was more of a, like, I could relate, or I find myself, even maybe just not with Taylor, but I have to be able to, or most likely can relate a song to somewhere in my past.
Of course.
Something, someone,
a
time, a place. And I think that it's probably what I love the most about Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Is that majority of all albums, I can find a place or a way to relate my life to that moment.
Sure. So do you, I mean, when she first lands on my radar, whatever that was, it just, the name, who is this? And then it's like, I think at some point I decided that, some version of country, and then it's like, no, it's a pop star. And then eventually, when Lover comes out, and You Need to Calm Down is, I think, probably released before the record. And I heard that and I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is cool. So then I go and download Lover, and that's, but she was around, for a while until my attention was very much caught.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Did you know of her for a while? Did you listen to her early on?
So up until this year, I have not had a problem with my age at all.
Okay.
This year, for some reason, has been difficult, and so. Like, that's why when I introduced myself, I was like, I'm 40 something. But I really have to own it. And that's my goal for this year, is to like own it. But I would say I was 30 whenever she came out with Fearless, which seems old.
Right.
But if you're living my life, which is breakups or happy times or good times, stuff like that, I think I could probably relate to her as soon as that. I wouldn't really say that I was fully invested by all means.
But you're aware of her when her first record comes out?
No.
Oh, sorry. Taylor Swift is.
Yep.
And then, okay,
and
gotcha.
Then,
so relatively early on.
Yeah, relatively early.
Okay.
I can remember on her first album, she performed at whatever, CMAs. Let's go with CMAs probably.
Yeah.
And 16, and she's up in front of George Strait of all places, like Faith Hill and Alan Jackson and all this stuff.
Whoa.
And she did this performance where they literally dumped probably 800 gallons of water on top of her. And it was phenomenal. I would say that was my first recollection of Taylor.
Okay.
Because I was like, my Lord, you can do that at 16. And George Strait got up and gave her like a standing ovation. And I thought, I don't know, who is this kid? Like, right?
That's nuts.
But I would say I could definitely relate to Fearless. And then I would say for me, Speak Now was like, okay, she's going to hang out. Like, she's going to be around.
Okay.
Dang. Like, she's going to kind of be here. And I will be honest with you, I would say Speak Now is when I started to really pay attention to lyrics and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. You've been around for a minute checking her out.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I wouldn't say it was swan diving.
Sure. That's fair.
I wasn't listening every day.
Fair. Right.
Because at that time, I was.
You got to listen to Garbage and Hole, too. I mean, you can't just
gotta listen to Garbage
all Taylor
and Hole
all day.
Too, right.
Well, so, Sophia comes and does her thing, and then Christy, and then, Facebook is, I don't know, weird.
Yeah.
It's not the thing that we first signed up for in 2008 when it was like connecting with people and they're married, they have kids, look how cute those kids are, and they live in Alaska now, how weird. Now it's not that at all.
No.
So it's been a thing that I have used for the purposes of the podcast very little, because it's more often than not it's just flat out disappointing. But I was so jazzed to have Sophia come do one, and then Christy, and I was like, we got to keep. So I posted, right? Like, do I know any Swifties? And you were real. I mean, maybe one or two other folks, but mostly if anybody else replied, it was like they were tagging a friend. But you were the only person that I knew. That was like, And so, we start talking. I gave you a bad cell phone number and you
That
texting
was
a
great.
stranger.
That was good job. Good job, 2024.
I literally was
And
like,
thank you to the person that I was texting for not taking 2 seconds and saying, wrong number, who dis?
right.
Right.
Well, nevertheless, I saw that there was a messenger. I was like, why are we back on Messenger? And then I opened it up and I was like, oh my God, that is not the right number.
Can't find you, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we're messaging and you eventually are like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come and
Yeah.
and then
Because I thought it would be fun to have an older perspective of it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Believe me, I've got my friends, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just Mallory. I mean, Jenny, we went to see a comedian and Jenny was like, we are dressing in Chiefs, preferably Taylor. She had her Travis Kelce, heart. And
what do you remember what comic you saw?
we saw Nate Bargatze.
Oh God,
God,
he's so
awesome.
good. He's so good.
Loved every minute.
I keep telling my wife that things would be better if I was in charge of the finances, but I just got to figure out where we bank first. So I'm dropping hints. If you had a favorite bank, which one do you think it would be?
My personal favorite is, math. So today's math, 4th grade math is meet me at the front door. Oh, you want to talk about math? Please go all the way around my house to my back door, come through my house and meet me right here in the same exact spot.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, that is my life. That's
Yeah.
where I live right now.
A bit about when people like his wife is the CEO and the CFO, but when people are on their property to like work, they always come to him.
Yes.
Hey, we're here about your water heater, and he's like, I didn't even know we had one of those.
I didn't get me a new one.
Yeah.
How much
We'd
do
like
they
to buy
cost?
one from you today.
Right.
Then-
Do you have those in the truck outside?
And then he goes, and it's a different time. So he goes, is your husband by chance here?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, she's around here somewhere.
Yeah, though he's phenomenal. And like, I believe I need that shirt that says, I love Jesus, but I also love cussing because it's deeply rooted in my soul that cussing just makes me a better person.
Sure.
But he is so clean and not awkward, and you're not sitting next to someone going, "Oh, that was funny, but I'm not gonna laugh."
Yeah.
Because, so it was.
So you went
enjoyable.
with a Swifty to see Nate Bargatze.
I went with 5 Swifties.
5 Swifties.
Yeah, and all the Jenny was like, it was Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was the next day, by the way.
Yeah.
So, we decided not only were we doing Swifty, we were doing Chiefs. And so, we all of us girls end up in our, our T-shirts and Travis and Chiefs and all that stuff. But
cool.
I'm by far don't feel alone in this world.
Yeah.
I was not odd at the concert.
Sure.
I might have been a little odd that I didn't have a daughter with me, but I didn't feel that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, like my goal was to help the 16-year-olds get the picture with Taylor in the heart right above their heads, and I was like, let's do it again. Nope. If you're not happy, I'm here for the whole concert,
Right.
loves,
Nice.
Because I just think that was what it was about. It was moving. It was quite moving.
Yeah.
I wish you could have been there, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish 1,000 people could have
Right.
been there. Yeah.
I mean, I said it before on here, but I felt like the city was literally
I heard
electric
that.
for like a week,
I agree with that.
and it
Totally.
was so cool.
Yeah. And even the people that didn't get to go, there could have been some like extreme animosities.
Right.
And it just wasn't. It wasn't at all.
Well, I really appreciate you being here, and I am thankful for all of our correspondence and for you getting me a list.
Yeah.
Which starts with Red. 2012, 4th of 10, second to be re-recorded and re-released Taylor's version style.
Yep.
But initially 16 tracks, 65 minutes. This one you cited as the most influence over you. Why is that?
I think that I was there. I lived it. I did. I really did. I really lived it. Like everything that, I don't know, like everything I know, I get it about All Too Well. I get it. I get it that everybody loves it. But there is a reason why everybody loves it. And I love All Too Well because I was a victim of All Too Well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like when I say, I like relate, I was that person. I was in the bathroom. I was on the floor. I was an embarrassment or,
Oh, no.
or what you thought at the time. And he was everything to me. And I mean, it was a lot of things. Like first panic attack, of my life. So happy that I had it because I know that you survive.
No shit.
Yes, shit. Like to everyone out there, if you're a fear of having a panic attack, you will survive. Like there's nothing about it that will kill you. But I literally lived it.
Water and deep breaths are your best. Water and deep breaths can be a good allies while you're in the thick of that.
Call your mama. Ask her what's happening to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so like I lived that. So as I think that, All Too Well is amazing. I think I died a small death when she said she was going to come out with a 10-minute version. I was a little unsure that I would make it 10 minutes. Like, would I make it 10 minutes with listening to that? Like, but I'm never someone that's like, oh, can't do this. Like, we're going to get to one song on here and there could be tears.
Yeah.
But I would never stop because it's just part of life. It's a process. And I think the more that you listen to it, the more that you understand. Like, she is an amazing songwriter.
Yeah.
She's an amazing songwriter.
All Too Well, the 10-minute version is how Taylor's version of Red ends, correct?
Yeah.
So you, having been on board for as long as you have, were familiar with the initial release of Red, and then when Taylor's version came out, at some point you checked that out too.
Yeah.
And what was it like getting this re-release with all this additional new material and your 10-minute version? Did you like it? Were you indifferent?
I was, like I said, I was nervous. I was really nervous. Like,
okay.
So I've made it, I've made it listening to the song, and I'm over it and I love it for so many reasons. Like, it took me back there, but it also took me to realizing that I'm not there anymore. Like I'm so far from who that person was,
right,
laying on the floor, but I was a little nervous, like, what was it going to flare up, like if we went that many more minutes, was it going to kind of flare up again, but no, I loved it. And I personally hope that no one, and they could have already done it and you would probably know better than me, I hope no one piggybacks onto her attempt to re-release and even go to as far as giving us more of all we that everybody wanted.
Well, I agree. I think I can't begin to imagine speaking for a young, uninformed, vulnerable artist in 2024 or any date in the future. Because, I think there's this thing about, trying to make it as an artist. And then if somebody offers you something, you're like, oh, this will enable me to do X and Y, and to sign on the dotted line, not knowing that you're in a spot. Hopefully her experience will make folks a little more, I don't want to say it's easy to just hire a lawyer and have them review documents for you.
Oh, she's changed everything.
Hopefully folks artists up and coming learn
Definitely.
from. But this was, so Lover was and then
Yeah.
I started from the beginning, and
Yeah.
I didn't struggle, to make it through the earlier
Yeah.
records, but they, I'll probably revisit them the
Yeah.
least over time. This one was where I kind of am like, okay, because we're
Red?
we're
Yeah.
moving a little bit away from the country stuff, and
Yeah.
pop is,
Yeah.
and there's new producers. I didn't know until getting ready for this that Joni Mitchell's 1971 album Blue
Mm-hmm.
is how we get Red, as far as the name is.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's what the internet said, and the internet's never
No,
wrong, right?
I mean that doesn't lie.
But here's how, under the umbrella of good, really good, especially incremental record sales, are typically because the one you put out before that,
Yep.
folks liked.
Yep.
So folks liked her enough that this one, when it came out,
Yep.
1.2 million copies week one.
Week one.
And
Yeah.
this is 2012.
Yeah, and I think that I do think that Speak Now pulled us in.
Okay.
I just don't know if it like fully put us over the line. And for me, Red just we went there.
Nice.
Like we did it. Like and like I said, I kind of relate, I also will say this about Taylor. I'm a huge fan of her collaborating.
Oh yeah.
Some of my favorite songs, even back to Fearless,
Okay.
are collabs that she's done.
There's a couple good ones on Red. Is Ed Sheeran on one?
Yep.
And I forget who else.
And probably one of my top fives with Ed Sheeran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Met my husband, maybe relate to that, I mean, when I hear, that everything has changed, I would say, it's probably in the mix of, meeting Nick and feeling that,
Sure. Yeah.
But I really find myself loving the collaborations. I don't know if I'm going to no one's going to hate me for that. Come on. But I'm not taking away from her. I just think that it totally enhances her so much more.
Well, it's major cool points too.
Yeah, and I really love the balance. I can't remember who did Fearless. It was Colby. I don't know. It was a girl.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was amazing. It was an amazing song, and they just so balanced each other really well. And then her and Ed, it's almost like she stands out even more to me when
Right.
she's got the back, kind of has that in there. So,
Well, 2 years down the line, 2014, 1989 comes out.
Yep.
Number 5, third to be Taylor's version released, but originally 13 tracks, 48 minutes. I mentioned that it's been my experience that this one is a favorite, and I think it was Christy that was like, not in my circles.
well,
And I was like, interesting. I like that there are different,
Yeah.
schools of thought going around.
so hard for me because Blank Space. I mean, in the world, in the Swifty bubble, might be a little bit of a cliche, but for me, Blank Space, probably number one.
Dang, no kidding.
Dang, no kidding. Let me tell you why. I was Blank Space.
Oh, really?
How bad is that? I was like, I can make you bad for a weekend. Totally. Bless my husband's heart, we might have to block him from this, but I was Blank Space. I was like, let's go to Chicago and tear up the town.
Heck yeah.
I'll be to work on Monday.
Right?
Not in a promiscuous way, but just very
Sure.
much like let's go. Let's dress up. Let's go to the country club that we aren't members to. Let's crash the wedding. And not
Fun.
just Blank Space. Totally me. I can hear it to this day and be like, Yes. Yes. My brother, it's not my brother, but it's the closest thing that I have to one. And he's like, they made a rock version of Blank Space. You should listen to it. And I was like, only 'cause I love you, I will.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, because I am Blank Space in
boy.
the heavy metal version.
Oh.
And I was like, well, there are many things I can say about you, sweetheart. But I listened to it, and I called him the next day, and I was like, I absolutely hated it,
Oh, shoot. Okay.
but I know why you love it. Because
Love
you're
that.
a man, and you're trying to like Taylor, and it just needs to be in a rock version from someone's different voice. But you love it
Yeah.
because she wrote it. Those are her words,
Yeah.
just done by somebody
Yeah.
else. So that was
So-
kind of funny.
When Taylor's version of 1989 comes out,
Yep.
same sort of question. Did you enjoy the new material? Did you not have an opinion about it, or
Totally changed 1989 for me.
really?
Huge Vault fan.
Okay.
Huge Vault fan. So did you do Vaults?
No,
That's okay.
I didn't.
Big Vault fan.
Okay.
I gotta look too, because I mean that much of a Vault fan, because it kind of changed the album for me. I love 1980. I love them all. I mean, and I know that everybody says that, and it's truthful. I mean, you really do. But I would say Vaults probably changed the album for me. So
Okay.
Vaults are Slut.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, now this album opens with "Welcome to New York," right?
Mm-hmm.
That track, it almost is like more vibrant in Taylor's version than the original. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Hard for This Mother, because that's on a Disney movie.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Can sing the whole song to you.
Nice.
Probably because of my children, though. I shouldn't say that I don't love 1989, because Style, I could play Style every day.
Okay.
Every day. And just get a vibe. You
Nice.
know? Out of the Woods. Oh my gosh. Oh,
That's a great one.
it's a great one. I mean, Bad Blood is what it is, but let's get to Vault. So
Okay.
Slut. It took me a minute. Took Mallory a minute too, by the way.
Interesting.
Took us a hot minute. Like, we needed to, like, really, let's kind of get there. And now love. Say Don't Go. Love it. Now That We Don't Talk. I'm in my 40s and I can relate.
Yeah.
Never did I ever say that I would get to my mid 40s and be able to relate to that. But I can totally relate. Just raising kids and
Yeah.
doing that. It's a whole new spectrum. Totally relate. Is it over now? Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved the Vault.
So when Taylor's version of 1989 comes out, the biggest streaming day for an album in 2023 on Spotify and all time for Amazon. So folks are
Yeah.
dialed
They're
in. There's no coming
They're
back.
They are lifers.
Yeah. In 2020, we get Folklore. First of two releases that year. This one's in July. Record 8, 16 tracks, 63 minutes. Surprise album released early on in the pandemic. You were definitely already in the know by then.
Yep.
And when this announcement happens, I mean, does that information get to you relatively quickly? Are you plugged in enough to what's no?
No.
Really? Okay.
No. That's why I say, like, I don't do the eggs.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
and maybe that's just an age thing.
Could be.
I'm just aged out of it, maybe a little bit.
When did you find out that it was out or coming out or?
Well, I don't know that, but let me tell you what, when I did, I was deeply in love.
Really?
Yep.
So we're moving. We've kind of trended away from the country-ish stuff, and now we're hanging out in pop, and now we kind of pivot again, right?
Yeah, and I think for me, being on the older spectrum of this Swifty bubble, I think that this was it for me. Like, it was such a nice, like, even, wasn't country, it wasn't too popsy, it wasn't too welcome to New
Right.
Yorky, all that stuff. And I didn't know where she was at, but I loved it.
Okay.
I I felt like she was in the woods on the cover. I felt like she was just, like she says, wearing her plaid
Yeah.
and, putting her tights on and wearing a cardigan. And I just felt like she was way, way there. And to quote Sophie, it's one of my favorite things that she said. Nope, not yet. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm going to wait on that one just a
For
second.
this one and the next one, I stole an Instagram quote.
Okay.
So for folklore, a tale that becomes folklore is one that is passed down and whispered about around, sometimes even sung about. The lines between fantasy and reality blur, and the boundaries between truth and fiction become almost indiscernible. Speculation over time becomes fact, myths, ghost stories, and fables, fairy tales and parables, gossip and legend, someone's secrets written in the sky for all to behold. In isolation, my imagination has run wild, and this album is the result. A collection of songs and stories that flowed like a stream of consciousness. Picking up a pen was my way of escaping into fantasy, history, and memory. I've told these stories to the best of my ability with all the love, wonder, and whimsy they deserve. Now it's up to you to pass them down.
Holy mother of God.
She's fucking great. I mean,
She's fucking awesome.
that's, you get generations of the old tales around the campfire passed down through the ages, all the way to like actually picturing her saying those last couple lines. I don't know. She's got a
That
gift.
was amazing. I'd like to, copy that. I'll
Yeah.
just take a quick picture
Yeah,
of it.
of course. Of course.
Honestly, and that's exactly how I felt. I felt whimsical. I felt like I felt like maybe she wasn't talking about someone. This was Deep Taylor.
Cool.
This was less about John, less about Jake, and more, for me, it was a lot more of her talent. I mean, anybody can go through a breakup and be like, left me in a bathroom stall, you prick.
Yeah. No
like,
kidding.
You keep the scarf, dick. Right? But, like, I think that folklore was so much more. I'm nervous, though, because, I heard her say once that was just a little period in her life. Little blip. And that makes me a little nervous because I loved it so much. And folklore and Evermore, and I know we'll go there, but to me, it's like, can you go back?
Right.
Although Midnight, I think she did, go a little bit, what a journey.
Yeah.
She's crazy, amazing.
So that was July, and then in December,
Yep.
Allegedly regards this Evermore and Folklore as sister albums. Are there similarities for you?
Yeah.
Between the two? Okay.
Are there for you? Not there yet.
Not there yet. I probably know these two the least.
That's okay.
Just
you're
Midnight's
still getting there,
has yeah, absolutely. I just a real general answer would be just because the energy level is a tick down from Lover and not the same. Midnight's is banger after banger after banger. I mean, and I don't mean that negatively at all in terms of the energy level being down.
Totally
I like
agree.
it. I just don't know them well enough.
Yeah. Like, so to jump back to Folklore.
Yes.
Exile. Collab.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing. Like, again, I've been in exile, and like anyone that can't, this is why I love her so much. I mean, like, you're hitting on so many things for so many people, young, old. There's a 22-year-old out there listening to Exile, And I should have been listening to Exile at, 22, but it wasn't a part of my life, but it is now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it doesn't really matter if it's Taylor or like we say, or it's whole or garbage or whatever. I mean, music is such an amazing thing.
It is.
I mean, if you can't relate, I can't play a musical instrument. I cannot bounce a basketball, but I can listen and listen good. But to me, yes, they're very similar. And, even though I feel like I know them the most front to back, if you were to say, is Willow on Folklore or Evermore?
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'd have a hard time telling you.
So this one Evermore has your absolute favorite, gut-wrenching favorite song on it.
Yeah.
Which is?
Marjorie.
Marjorie?
Yeah.
What's the story there?
My grandmother's name is Marjorie.
Nice.
She is no longer with us.
Okay.
But great story about Marjorie. I'm actually borderline deaf. I am definitely hearing impaired.
Okay. And I have been for?
Well, I was having a hard time taking orders. And so I got married and my husband was like, I don't think this is getting any better.
Taking orders.
With Cisco, I was having a hard time, and I was starting to make more and more mistakes.
Oh, no.
And I
really?
was running to Wilco more and more.
Nick has been in your life since those days?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not since the beginning of Cisco, no. But,
okay.
Towards the end. And I think I had him shortly after we got married. So that's
both ears?
Both ears.
No kidding.
Genetic. That's
family members.
Genetics is both ears. They're perfectly the same. The loss is perfectly the same. So that shows you that it's genetic.
But did you know of other family members?
Yeah, I have a couple of family members. I, up until about maybe 5 years ago, was the youngest to have hearing aids. Since then, I've been surpassed by a third cousin at this point. She's younger, 20.
Wow.
Yeah, bless her heart. But it is significantly getting worse. And so I'd probably will go to a cochlear at some point.
What does that mean?
The implant, the cochlear implant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So cochlear implant is they take all of your ears away from you and then they send it straight to your brain. So our ears are only a process to our brain.
Right.
Yeah, they hear, but they just send the information to your brain.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense,
yeah.
right? So what they'll do is take my ears completely out of it, and then they'll send the information just straight to my brain.
How soon are we talking?
That was a little bit of a shocker for me. I obviously do checkups and my routine and here and it is, and usually it takes my mother, God bless her, to tell me, or my husband. But I hear men better. I don't hear women and children very well. So it does take my mother to say, "What are we doing?" I'm repeating myself 6 times, So then
what is this? What kind of it's not an ENT that you see.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. I mean, you'll eventually go to, someone that just specifies. I just go to someone that just does hearing, but they are.
What do you call that doctor?
My hearing aid doctor. hearing women's hearing professional services, right? So this is a funny one about Marjorie. So because I'm hearing impaired, I am the person that also makes up amazing words to songs.
Okay.
Until I have the time to sit down and be able to read that. And I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah.
But what kind of time do you have with 2 children, a full-time job? I am a mother, a wife, a daughter, a friend, a volunteer, all the things.
Yeah.
So how often do you have the time? And so it took me, cooking one day, and I had probably listened to it for 6 or 7 months. Dead set. And I'm literally making up a word. And it's Marjorie, and I'm not registering this.
Oh, wow.
I'm not registering this. And all of a sudden I looked over at my phone and I see the words Marjorie. And I literally stopped everything I was doing.
Because you're streaming through your phone?
Because I'm streaming through my hearing aids. I'm streaming straight through my hearing aids.
What?
Yes. Definitely. The world of...
Wow.
Yeah. If you need hearing aids, get up there because it's great.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't have AirPods or anything like that. Like, it goes straight into my everything. My phone calls go into my hearing aids. Yeah, there's a special thing that I can buy for the TV that goes straight into my hearing aids.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we're really, really advanced. There's a little clip that Nick can wear, and I can just hear him. Like, if we go to a restaurant, and I only want to hear Nick, and I don't care about anybody else, he can put that on, and I can just hear him. Bad news is I can't hear anything else,
right?
But I can hear him.
He gets home, and you're like, Sally was driving me bananas. You're like, I didn't hear a word she said.
I don't even know what you're talking about. So I went to my bedroom, and I sat down on, like, this shelf at the end of the bed, and I literally pulled up the lyrics, and I listened to it, and absolutely lost it.
Really?
Like, this whole entire song was literally about her grandmother, and her grandmother's name is Marjorie. And I had a grandmother named Marjorie.
Sure.
And it was...
Was she a cool lady?
She was amazing.
Nice.
Amazing. But it's all the things. I wish I had her signature. I wish I would have kept the grocery store receipt, Never be so wise you forget to be clever,
right?
Never be, all of those things. And it was such a soul crushing moment for me. And that's when I learned that it was time to start listening to words. So I probably at that point went back, allowed myself some time, maybe once a day or a couple times a week, to pick a song and actually read the lyrics, And I think that, so, Marjorie is up until, midnight, the last one that we had. And I had literally gone back and started reading. And I think if you were to read opposed to just listen,
oh, sure,
it's a game changer. And for me, I get it. She's 34. I don't know how much long we have her as far as performing, maybe touring. I don't know. But if she ever quits writing,
it kind of doesn't feel like that will happen anytime soon.
I hope not. Because if she ever quits writing, and I don't care if she doesn't have to sing it, I need her to write it.
Right? Mm-hmm. Well, I did the same thing. I stole an Instagram quote for this one. And maybe this helps support this notion of these being sister albums.
Yep.
To put it plainly, we just couldn't stop writing songs. To try and put it more poetically, it feels like we were standing on the edge of the folklorian woods and had a choice. To turn and go back or to travel further into the forest of this music. We chose to wander deeper in. I've never done this before. In the past, I've always treated albums as one-off eras and moved on to planning the next one after an album was released. There was something different with folklore. In making it, I felt less like I was departing and more like I was returning. I loved the escapism I found in these imaginary/not imaginary tales. I loved the ways you welcomed the dreamscapes and tragedies and epic tales of love lost and found into your lives, so I just kept writing them.
God, Mallory. Are you listening to this, Mallory? Gosh, man, you're killing it on finding the...
Well, did we...
Oh, come on, you got to scroll. You got to scroll for a little bit.
Did we
get that stuff?
Did we touch on the Sophia quote?
No. So my Sophia quote, which was amazing.
Okay.
And I wish I would have thought of it myself, but not really, because I love Sophia for saying this. So she said, if you'll recall, folklore walked so Evermore could run.
Oh, yes.
It was...
That's awesome.
So spot on.
She's great. She's a very bright mind and a good mom and a good partner.
When she said that, I thought, man, girl, you get it. you know, because it is the truth. I mean, I agree with her. Folklore walks so Evermore could run.
So when you tell me that you didn't watch the Grammys and
Mm-hmm.
were laying in bed and then heard the news that the Tortured Poets Department, which is like maybe going to be out before this airs,
Go.
April 19th.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The timing might be,
Yeah.
you know, they might,
Close.
yeah. Supposedly 16 songs, collabs with Post Malone and Florence and the Machine, who I think Sophia had.
Yes, she did. And Post Malone, yes.
What was the thing? Was it you had messaged me at one point saying, and I'll tell you what I did when I found out the new album. Was that just that you'd messaged Mallory?
Yeah,
to
I messaged
give
Mallory
her a little
and
bit
I
of,
was
hey,
like,
where's my
seriously,
life?
you literally let your best friend who, you know, I mean, we are in this together, Mallory. We are in this together, and you literally let me get in bed at 11 o'clock at night and find this out. But that's totally her.
hilarious.
You'd have
Yeah.
to know her.
Yeah.
She's, you know, it's totally
I
her.
didn't want to bother you.
What if you were sleeping?
I always do. I
wake
always
me up.
say that, and
Yeah.
then folks are like, "Yeah, it's not. I have things silenced or
Yeah.
whatever." I
Yeah.
mean, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's nice when there are when folks show consideration to say, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to buzz you or on these things enough as it is. So,
Yeah.
but
I
anyway.
mean, my whole thing about the announcement, I have a couple feelings. Gosh, I mean, at the very beginning, they said it's totally going to be the Folklore Evermore. Like, they felt that. They felt like that's where we were going with it.
Huh.
The poet, you know, the tortured, you know, all that stuff. And I was jazzed.
Yeah.
I was pumped. I mean,
Okay.
I'm pumped. But, you know, the more Mallory and I talk, they're thinking, no.
Something
And-
totally different.
No, I think that they're thinking that she's going to go a little bit back towards 1989.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, I won't hate it,
right.
but I loved this little imaginary place she was in.
Absolutely.
I loved it. All of it. I mean, I just really liked it. So I don't know if I could ever be disappointed in anything because it's really about the writing for me. So it can be poppy or whatever. But now I am really curious to see
Same.
what's going to happen. I also will say that I'm not quite ready because I haven't fully, like, deeply, you know, read, you know, Midnight.
Sure. That's
So,
fair. That's fair.
It's a little soon for me.
Well, she's moving it.
She's moving
Clicks these days.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm excited because every time something, you know, at least for these last 3, 4, if you count this one coming up, I'm at a different phase in my own Swiftydom every time a new material comes
Yeah.
out. And it's like, who knows when I'm going to be at the spot where I know all 11 or 12, whatever
Yeah.
records
Oh, yeah.
really, really
Oh, yeah.
well, so that I can just
Yes.
but point being, each time she puts out something new, it's a different experience for me, which is
Yeah.
fun.
Which is great.
Keeps.
Oh,
She's doing a good job of.
I'm not hating
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm just like, man, you know, I've got
sure.
some work to do here.
For sure, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I have time
You
and
have time.
I love it.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of a bombshell. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
But I also don't hunt eggs,
Right,
so
right.
you know, I don't know. I don't really. It's gonna be super curious on how this goes.
Definitely. Anything from your notes that we have not touched on that you wanted to?
I think the only thing, and I think I told you this, like, I think that, well, I don't know. Sometimes you think, you know, like if I say I didn't like the concert, you know, somebody's going to figure out where I live.
Right.
But I don't think that this particular, you know, bubble of people
Sure.
would ever be like that. Somebody told me today that they're not Swifties. And I was like, bless your heart, you know?
Yeah.
They said that they didn't like it when she went from country to pop, and they lost, and it just lost him. And you know what I said to him? I get it, totally get it. I think you should give it a try.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, people have been saying that for 40 years about Bob Dylan, who gave mostly zero fucks and just keeps making music and keeps touring.
Right.
I mean, so people are not going to have their opinions.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think that the only thing that the kind of hits for me that I'm not really sure everybody associates this, and for me it does. And so I just think that maybe so there's a couple of things that, you know, in the short few chances that I've had to listen, you know, to yours, I'm like, oh wait, what? Or I learned this, you know, Fritz, was it Fritz?
Yeah.
Fritz,
yeah.
you know, and it was some things in there. And so, you know, yeah, I mean, we all get
thanks
it.
for listening.
This is like kind of my takeaway. So being in my mid 40s, you know, I was in the Alanis Morissette era.
Sure. Yeah.
And although grungy, or what are we calling her?
Gosh. I don't know. She was for me, she was part of, you know, a pocket of female artists.
Yeah. But she wasn't like a hip hop. I would say that people back then thought she was more of in that, like.
Well, she had an attitude, so there's a little bit of grunge affiliation by default, perhaps.
Yeah. But to be very, very, very
she's a rock star.
Yeah.
You know?
She's amazing. And I even looked up, and, you know, I mean, up until Taylor Swift, I mean, like, held enormous amount of Grammys, and you got to remember, I mean, we're just talking about not 6 albums, you know,
right?
We're talking about probably 2 very significant ones, you know, but to me, up until Folklore and Evermore, to me, Taylor is my new version of Alanis.
Okay. That's fair.
I mean, Alanis talked about some wicked breakups.
Yeah.
And she said some real rough things.
Yeah.
And she was also very humble and sweet when she sang thank you. And she, you know, recorded unsent to all of the men in her life and all of the things that she loved about them. And she was very upset, you know, about the breakup with, I call him the Full House guy. I have no idea what his name is. But, you know, so, you know, I love how we say, you know, or a lot of people say, you know, don't go out with her. She'll write a song about you. Woo! She's writing better songs than Alanis did, because Alanis was ripping your guts out.
Right.
And she was running over him in the middle of the street. But to me, I loved that person so much, and she spoke to me in 1993 and 1995 or whatever it was, and then she disappeared from my life.
Right.
And I think that
she's
Taylor,
back around to her now. She's back in the game.
Would I die? I'd die a small death. But you know, to me, Taylor is that person. I mean, she's talking about Jake, man. Don't do it. And she's talking about John. Don't do it.
Right.
You know, and I just think that she's just a newer version for me. And I'm older. And no, that 20-year-old is not going to get this statement at all. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But there's such a connection there. So for the late 30s, 40-year-olds, you know, if you need to get back to that, you know, and listen to the comparison, because it really is something for me that really intertwines.
Nice.
You know?
Nice.
If I could request a collab.
Ooh.
Just to say.
I mean, I'm
sure it out there.
I'm sure when Taylor listens to this episode, she will make that note.
Yeah.
And outreach immediately. And
oof. I'm sure it would happen.
Thank you again. I like to run through a series of goofy questions before we get you out of here.
Okay.
The first being, you get to have lunch with anyone of your choosing, dead or alive.
Okay.
Who are you choosing, and why?
Dead or alive? My mother.
Nice.
Yeah.
Special lady. She's right.
She's right there.
Yeah.
About 57 steps for me.
I love it.
Build your mother a she shack. It's one of the best things that we ever did.
You're given the ability to visit your past self at any age. You're choosing.
Okay.
What age are you choosing, and what are you saying to yourself?
I would say young. I've had a great life. So young. Maybe, I don't know, 3rd grade, 4th grade maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably because we were still in that wing of the school, and that's kind of what I remember. Probably definitely suffered from anxiety. I'm a generational anxiety sufferer. Thank you, Grandma.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mama.
Appreciate you guys passing that down.
Appreciate that so much. And didn't get your great skin, but that's cool. So I think that it was definitely something that I had that no one had any idea what to do with it.
Oh.
Yeah. And so would love to go back to that person and be like, girl, get to junior high, because life, is going to ease up. Life is going to just relax a little bit.
Nice.
For you. Yeah.
Okay.
And nobody looked at your 3rd grade grades when you
Right.
graduated from high school.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Simple. Mm-hmm.
So if we all have a personal and a professional bucket list, what would be number ones for you on those? Your personal, and sometimes they're the same, but
What do I still want to do in my personal bucket?
Personal bucket. What in your personal life and in your professional life? What are your number one things you'd love to accomplish or achieve or experience?
I would say my personal bucket. Gosh, are we so kid-minded right now? I would say to raise good humans.
I love that.
Really good humans.
I love that.
And humans that are really, that we need, that we got to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would say to raise 2 well-mannered, gentlemanly human beings.
Sure.
Yeah. Professional?
Yeah.
We're going to, I don't know.
Put a pin in it. Come back to it another time.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to travel.
Okay.
I think we'll leave the country.
Nice.
And so I think for me professionally, I'm done with corporate America.
Hey.
Amen. Right. And thankful, so thankful to my husband for that. But I think, a foreign language or volunteering or helping or something like that.
Fulfillment.
Totally
I love it.
Totally in my soul.
Okay.
Yep.
Complete this for me, if you would, please. The world would immediately become a better place in which to live, if only.
One more time.
The world would immediately become a better place in which to live, if only.
There was no social media.
Oh boy.
Now, I did not say the internet.
Sure. Yeah.
But I said social media.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. I can back that up. I did career day at my child's school with a CIA agent.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a big day.
Okay.
Couldn't take pictures or anything of the partner because she was undercover. I was like, why did you bring her? Let's not flub that up,
no
Southwest
kidding.
Elementary.
Right.
And he told me, he said, nothing has ever good come out of social media. And I did not say the internet. I said social media. And he said,
CIA dude said this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said, I mean, we have to have the internet. That's where we learn. We can research. You can find quotes,
Sure.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
He said that's not it. That's not where the problem lies. The predators lie, those things. But he said nothing. I have seen zero good come out of social media in my profession. And I love that he didn't say nothing came good out of the internet or,
Right.
or anything. He specifically said social media and also reminded us that we could have the internet, that
Sure.
that wasn't where things live. So
Hmm.
I think it changes everything.
It does.
I think it changes marriages. I think it changes parenting. I think it changes how they interact. I think I have older children that live a completely different life than I do, just those things. Yeah.
Last but not least, do you remember the television show Fear Factor?
I do.
Okay. So this was like the challenge, I guess, was you would have to undergo a series of universally accepted gross experiences, like lay down in a coffin and they pour a bucket of spiders, gross, terrifying, hence the name Fear Factor. What would be the absolute worst Fear Factor challenge for Tisha Cash to have to undergo?
I have debilitating claustrophobia.
Okay. Say no more.
Anything in that department, my man, falls under
I'm glad you said that.
me.
Sometimes folks, if I ask that question, struggle to come up with something.
No.
And where I go is, if you've seen Kill Bill,
Yeah.
I think Mickey Rourke's character like chloroforms Uma Thurman and then buries her alive. Fuck that. And she gets out like my heart is immediately exploding. I'm having a stroke.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. Are you just, like when something like that happens, I'm just looking away. I blame my sister in putting the pillow like over my head when I was younger.
Right.
And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I would say that that's probably it. I highly have to be sedated for any kind of MRIs or anything like that.
I just did one.
Yeah.
And it was not my first. For my first one, I took a half or a full Xanax, whatever my prescription, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I took it here.
Oh, wrong move.
And then I drove to the place.
Wrong.
And I waited in the waiting area.
Wrong.
And then they came and got me.
Wrong.
And took me back to the MRA area where I waited more. And then they put me in there. And it was not.
Nothing. Mm-hmm.
So I scheduled this one. They're like, if they don't ask you about claustrophobia or being sedated, mention something.
Right.
So I'm in the portal, say it, and I get there. And God bless her heart, it's just this warmish, Eastern blocky gal.
Yes.
And she's like, nope, there's nothing. How far to your house? Where can you go? And I'm just
no, stop it.
Okay, just put me in there. But cover my eyes and
lots of music.
Well, I
blaring.
asked for white noise.
Oh, yeah.
Calming, but it wasn't. I feel like the MRI that I had done the first time was 5 or 6 years ago. I feel like this one I just did 2 or 3 weeks ago was way louder.
Oh, it's so terrible.
And I was like, how do we have the things that we have technology wise, and yet this thing is just. I panicked. I hit the ball, and she was like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Get me out."
Get me out.
And she was like, "Let me talk to you." I was like, "Get me
because you
out."
have to start all over again.
Well, she was able to,
Yeah.
I said, "All right, stick me back in there," and we were able to finish somehow without having to start over.
Yep. No,
but, it's like these professional athletes have 5, 6, 7 of those a year.
No.
I'm like,
well, I mean, yeah, with the appropriate amount of drugs. But, yeah, I mean, I have to take one the minute I hit the place. And then I also set down on the table and say, hold on. And I take the other one. I have to have 2. And it still is a bit hard for me. And I'm sedated.
Terrifying. Well,
It's terrifying.
thank you so much for being here.
I can't
really
thank you
appreciate
enough.
it. It's so good to see you.
It's so great to see you too.
And you have your willingness to do this has kept this little tributary of the podcast alive. So
yeah.
many thanks.
I love your album.
I mean, I'll show you where that came from after we wrap.
Okay.
But Tisha Cash, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you.